Hi, I'm Josh Cadillac, and welcome to my podcast, Know Your Shit. I've been blessed to see great success, as well as seeing the bottom up close and personal in 2008. And if there's one lesson I've learned, is that if you want to have success and differentiate yourself from everyone else out there, you need to know your shit. As a successful real estate and crypto investor and an educator, it drives me insane that people do not immerse themselves in their craft. Everyone is so busy advertising and testing new sales techniques, they forget the most important thing, the product. Here I want to talk to the folks that got this right, the most successful people in the world in every industry. Bring them to you and find out what they learned in their business that made it great. When you're listening to my podcast, you will know for sure that the topics and experts we have on have one thing in common. They know their shit.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Know Your Shit podcast, where our knowledge and pride in what we do drives us to be excellent. My name is Josh Cadillac, and I'm in the driver's seat for today's show as we teach you how to stop just chasing checks and start closing customers for life, how to build wealth, how to build a business you can be proud of. We got a great show for you today. And without any further ado, I got Yair here. I'd love to hear from you. Welcome, for starters. Why don't you tell everybody what you do?
So I'm a financial advisor and life insurance expert. We're actually behavioral financial advisors, so we do a lot of financial advisory coaching, talking to people about their values, their goals, how we get everybody to align. And I'm excited to talk to a different styled investor, but also just somebody who's also in the investment world, loving to put money to work, loving to talk about different opportunities and different strategies that you can actually go into. And what I love that you've been doing, and I've been checking out a lot, listening to a lot of your podcasts and a lot of what you're doing, is it's all very personalized. Everything's very customized. It's not like a cookie cutter approach, which I think is amazing.
No, it's got to be, because, I mean, people. This is one of the interesting things when I teach all over the country. I'll ask, all right, here, who goes skydiving? And I'll have a bunch of hands go up. I'll say, all right, fantastic. Of my skydivers, how many of you don't invest? And a bunch of the hands stay up. I'm like, all right, why don't you invest? Well, it's risky. I'm like, well, wait a second. You're okay jumping out of an airplane with nothing but somebody's bed sheet holding you up in the air, but you're afraid of investing. This teaches you one thing, and one thing in particular, which is that people have very different risk profiles. The risks they perceive can be vastly different. I am never jumping out of an airplane, but the idea of not having my money working for me scares the living hell out of me. And so it's just...
Yeah, there was the amount of people that sat in cash and Chase Bank for the last couple of years is astounding.
Sad. It's sad.
Sad.
You know, this is the place that I always start with people at this point. I always just lead off with cash is getting killed. Like I begin there, because they need to understand their default position of standing still is flawed on its face. That standing still position has a cost to it. And we got to get you out of that. Otherwise, you're bleeding to death. I can't have you bleeding to death. It's a bit of a problem for me. It hurts my feelings. So I got to get you, get you thinking that standing still is a problem. So
yeah, and it's not. It's today nowadays. It's not so hard to get yield on your money. There's a lot now. You walk down the street. There's 75 banks that want to take your money and give you 4 or 5% for it. Even if it's just emergency savings, even just having that do something. Online platforms. There's a million places to go. Once you move, then all of a sudden you realize, all right, what's next? And where else can I go? Where else can I put my funds? What more can I do?
I mean, is it even really a good enough placeholder to keep up with the real rate of inflation? Whereas, they report it as 3 and some change, but it's like the Fed, they love to just keep pulling things out of that are things that people have to really buy to take and make the number seem like it's not so bad. It's like literally they're doing this to make themselves look better at their job, because they're the ones that get to take and set the criteria for how we judge how well they're doing their job. It kind of seems flawed.
Yeah, there's always that graph when you're looking at a graph, and then all of a sudden you zoom out, and then you zoom out, and there's so many different ways that you can actually look at a graph. And it's very exciting to show it really, really fun. Like, look how bad the world is. And then you look one step out. And you're like, oh, actually, it's not so bad. It's only quarter to date, but month to date. And nobody really, you can't analyze it yourself. It's just too confusing. But media, there's a very, very big incentive to say that the world is on fire, especially when an election year is coming up. There's a very big incentive to always say it's on fire. And when it's all of a sudden, inflation has calmed down. But I mean, has anyone bought a car lately? I bought a car I would say 2 years ago for $42,000, a BMW X3, 40, great car. I was very, very happy. That same car is $52,000. I thought 3% was the inflation rate. That
Right.
doesn't really make
I'm
sense. The math isn't
compounding
there.
that out, and it's not, the math isn't working there. But I mean, here's the thing. I mean, who actually uses a financial calculator and can actually tell what compounded rate over time is? Nobody does this except the weirdos like you and me. That this is the
Yeah.
stuff that we live, breathe, and sleep. Like how do we take and make this money do what it needs to do? Because at the end of the day, if the money is not giving, I mean, maybe this is the simplest thing I could say. If the bank is giving you a rate, just rest assured it is insufficient to compensate you for the devaluation of your money. It's going to take and
Correct.
it's a little eyedropper at the top of a metal milking pail. It's got a big hole in the bottom because somebody put a nail in it, and they're dropping little drops of money, and they're making you feel like the balance is going up. But when you take it out, you can't buy what you originally could have bought when you put the money in.
No, they love making you feel excited. And Warren Buffett said very well, there's two people that understand compound interest: the people that pay compound interest and the people that make compound interest. And there's nothing like making compound interest. And the bank is not giving it to you, and you're paying taxes on it. So it's like, okay, that doesn't really make, you're really not walking home with so much. Uncle Sam is walking a lot. The bank is making 30 times on your money. The insurance companies are making money. Everybody's making money except for us. And I find that it's a lot. Number one, I find that the financial institutions have made more profit over the last few years than they've ever made. They're just blowing everybody else away. Maybe their companies aren't as big, but most of the profits of the countries are going straight to them. There's a reason for it. And they're spending so much money. Why is there, during COVID, every restaurant closed during COVID? What didn't close? What one thing did not close on every single corner that you have? I live in Manhattan. There's a TD Bank, a Chase Bank, a Bank of America, and a Valley Bank. All the whole corner. They take up like the whole block. No one closed. Nobody's ever in there, but nobody ever closed.
It's a thing. It's a license to basically print money the way that they have it set up for themselves right now. I mean, when you get your head wrapped around the fractionalized banking system, they have the monopoly on the creation of the capital of the land. They get the right to print the money. What a deal. What a deal they got for themselves. So let me ask you this. Let's take you back to the roots, to the beginning. What got you started doing what you're doing?
So I grew up in an Orthodox Jewish community that in Teaneck, New Jersey, northern New Jersey, that I felt everybody around me was very, very rich. But then when you realize that your family actually has a stack of maxed out credit cards and that you're going to lose your house, and thank God, if we didn't have a house, we would have lost it because nobody's going to keep somebody in there for that long when they're not paying the bills.
Yep.
The banks will, but just so you know, which is a secret that they don't like to tell people. And I realized that my family, I'm one of six, my family had a very tough time with financial literacy and financial information, and we really got ahead of ourselves. So it's really not a great feeling. And you find this moment when, let's say, somebody comes to you and says, "Hey, get out of this house." And it's not their house that they're telling you to leave. You thought it's your house. That's something that makes you very, very uncomfortable.
Sure.
And there's so much knowledge and information that isn't passed to people, that there's a big push right now. Oh, we got to get everybody educated about what's credit card, what's debit cards, what's all this stuff. But it's also, what does a lifestyle cost? And if you want to live a certain lifestyle, what does that actually cost? And then what are your values? So if you have values in life, for us, we're Orthodox Jewish. We need to send our kids to Jewish schools. That's just how we're raised. We need to live near a synagogue, so houses are more expensive because you can't
Right.
drive on Sabbath. So you have to have these things. And that if your values are religion, then you need to have that in your financial
Right.
portfolio.
That's the
My dad didn't grow up
priority. Yeah.
religious, so it's your priority. So my dad didn't grow up religious, so his budget would have been great. And for the income he was making, it would have been great for a family that wasn't in our lifestyle. When you have six kids that all go to private school, $15,000 a year, and you cannot send to public school because that's just not nobody in your town, nobody in your community, you're not allowed to. It's just not on the menu.
Yeah.
Then you get caught up. So a big passion for me is a very shitty. Sorry for cursing, but I think you can handle it.
On
It's
the
a
Know
very
Your
shitty
Shit
feeling as
podcast.
a
Yeah, you're okay.
Know Your Shit podcast. That's why I liked it. So it's a very shitty feeling when you just feel alone and you feel like you actually don't, you can't control your destiny. It's a
Sure.
horrible feeling. But what I realized is instead of, and it's something that's been very interesting that I've actually been like delving into in the past couple days, and I've been talking to people about it. What's going on right now in the world? And if it's okay if we could talk about what's going on in the world, I just want to make sure.
Sure.
What's going on in the world is there's some extreme sadness that's happening. And if you look in the past, you will never stand up and move forward. You cannot, in general, if you look in the past, you're going to sit and cry and not get up and not take any action. Instead of me looking in the past and going, oh, we were poor, we couldn't handle it, and I went and worked for somebody, I looked in the past. I went, I don't want that past. I'm just going to move forward, and I'm going to get up and move forward. And that's the only way to really accomplish things in life. So I took what the emotional feeling, took that, put that in my back. Went, all right, now I'm strong. I'm going to move forward. I'm not going to let that happen. Now we have a great company. We have great employees. We have over 1,000 clients. We have people, some of the most successful people in the world, billionaires as clients. It's been amazing because we can connect to them on an emotional level, and we are able to understand their values. Because when you say to somebody who's a billionaire and say, hey, we want to make sure you're not going to run out of money, they go, run out of money? That's not my value. I'm not going to run out of money. I want to make sure I don't lose my money because I worked really, really hard to get here. And their values are completely different than somebody else's values. When you understand that, and when you go through something and you overcome some obstacles, you're able to relate to those people.
Sure.
Long-winded way of
Yeah, no, I
saying that.
get you, and I mean, you hit on really close to home. That was almost a straight quote from Rocky Balboa about life's not how hard you hit; it's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward, how much you can take and keep moving forward.
Absolutely.
It very much
Absolutely.
is looking through the windshield and adjusting to what's incoming, as opposed to taking and living your life in with your eyes stuck to the rearview mirror. There's always plenty to
Absolutely.
be ashamed of. There's always plenty to be afraid of. There's always plenty to look back to and wish you could have done it differently. But if you're not using that to inform the decisions you're making forward, you're just creating more regrets as you move forward. You've got to take and use it to adapt, to adjust, to take and try to make it better on the way going forward. Otherwise, you're just wasting your time.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's so many people that go, oh, well, my circumstances or how I grew up or how this or how that. Yeah, we grew up with almost $1 million of credit card debt. Not many people can really understand what that means. And not many people can really
Not
understand
that.
when what yeah, when my dad, my dad used to say, all right, we get $7 a week for your allowance, which $7 a week was not a lot, but $7 a week for your allowance. And then when I said, Dad, can I get my allowance? He goes, no, we're in a recession. Well, we've been in a recession for 10 years. What are you talking? It's $7. Not
Yeah.
many people really understand that, but you'd never, if you let that, if you stay in that, you're doing it to yourself. And taking ownership of your life, there's nothing like it, and it's the most freeing thing in the world.
Absolutely. Moving out of the passenger seat into the driver's seat of your own life. Most people live
Absolutely.
their lives in the passenger seat of their own life. Oh me, oh my, look at where I am. Well, get in the driver's seat and start working on getting a different location, a different ending, a different destination than where you are. If you sit in the passenger seat, well, you can't really be too mad about where you wind up, right? And this is
It's
unfortunate.
nobody else's fault.
Big victimhood is one of the most powerful forces in the world today. They are trying desperately. As you said, the news is all bad news. The news all wants to turn you into a victim and somebody that's being exploited and taken advantage of.
Yeah.
Even if you are, who gives a rat's ass? There's nothing you're. If you're being victimized, at least do something about it. Fight back, right? But to sit here and watch the news and just complain and not take and figure out what you could do to make your existence better is nothing more than you giving up and complaining about the results that you're getting because you've given up.
Absolutely. People go, oh well, what are you going to do if the election change? Who cares about the election? What does that have to do with anything? Oh, what are you going to do if interest rates go up higher? I'm just going to deal with higher interest rates. What are you going to
Yeah,
deal with? I'm going to deal with lower interest rates. I know something. It's the certainty of uncertainty. I know something bad is going to happen. It's how
yeah,
do you adjust to those opportunities, not even
yeah,
obstacles, opportunities to take advantage and grow your station and get out from where you were a day ago, even if where you were a day ago was bad. And there's this new like wave of people who are super, super healthy that are constantly pushing to be even more healthy. And they go, well, you're super healthy already. He goes, yeah, but I can always be better. My life's great and it's getting better. That's the beauty of it. If you take this, my life sucks, and if I do this, it will be better, then you're stuck. But if you constantly are pushing, then all of a sudden money becomes a lot easier for you. And everything like relationships get a lot easier for you. If you're looking desperately to try to get married and all you're doing is think about and you say on the first date, well, I'm really looking to get married and have kids. You're not really going to get married and have kids.
Yeah,
But
no,
if you're living something else, it's a
yeah,
different
no, I
battle.
mean, it's a matter of being on your own journey and taking ownership of that journey that you're on, right? As opposed to, I want this. Let's just hope it happens. It's the Disney Channel approach to life. Just go
Absolutely.
get the degree just go chase your dreams, Skipper. That degree in ancient Sanskrit, that PhD for $250,000 in debt. That's what's going to do it for you. Just follow your heart. I'm sorry. It's a business decision we have to take. We have to make wise choices. We have to take ownership of this thing. So I couldn't agree more. Let me ask you
Uh,
this, man. What is it you like best about what you do?
So I get to connect because I have that in the complex of like I'm a little yeshiva boy from New Jersey that talking to people and why are they listening to me? And I there's two sides. Obvious the helping people, that's great, the impact, that's great. But there is something about being able to sit at the table with someone that you always thought was this massive giant and they're crying to you that they're scared they're going to lose it or that they're one missed payroll from losing their fortune or their father's never going to be proud of them. It's something very deep to be able to connect to those people and be good at calming them down, lowering stress levels, allowing them to be more productive and you being an integral part of their success. It's kind of like being a teacher. It's being able to educate somebody that you could take forward. And the difference is I'm able to teach people in all walks of life. I have clients who are in their 70s. I have clients who are in their teens. It's amazing how deep you can actually go with people. And I love that. I mean, there's something addictive to it also when we have some famous clients and people are talking to them, oh, they're so rich, they're so this, they're so that. I'm like, no, that's actually my client, and they actually have no money. So it's just so it's just funny to see it, and you're able to see things like under the curtain. But
Yeah,
one question I had for you, you were saying one thing I did say, you did say, which I really liked. You didn't say it's a life decision when you were talking about money and talking about changes in your life. You said it's a business decision
yeah,
and you're treating it sounds like you treat your life like a business decision whenever you're making these financial conversations. That's exactly what we tell all the time. This is your life is your business. If you
and
manage
you're
it
the
like a
CEO of
business,
your
you're going to be more
operation.
successful.
You are the CEO of the operation,
Absolutely.
and unfortunately for you, you're
Absolutely.
also the staff of the operation. And there's often a big disconnect between what the CEO wants to do and what they can actually get the staff to pull off. Right?
Yep.
A that self control component of this whole thing can be such an interesting taskmaster to rein in. But
Yep.
it is a thing. It is a battle. So, what do you think makes you good at this thing?
I think the level of there's a client said to us, he's a big politician. He said to us that the difference between you and my other advisors is that you actually want me to build wealth according to my dreams. Everybody puts so there's a very interesting thing. It's when and I'll ask you, Josh, when do you want to retire? What's the age of retirement for you? And I'm assuming you're never going to retire, but if you said to me a number, what would be that age?
If I could pull it off at 55, that'd be great.
55, right? 55, 60, 65, arbitrary numbers.
Yep.
So you got like another 30 years of working. So you get to 55, you're finally there, and then you go 60 and then 65. These numbers, you know where that age of retirement of 65 came from? The
I
late
think that,
1800s, the late
yeah,
1800s in Germany when the average lifespan was 47.
yeah,
That's when they
absolutely.
decided that number.
Yeah, absolutely. No,
It's
it
like
was set up because they were Social Security was set up so they didn't have to pay out. It
yeah,
was
absolutely. That's the whole concept. Insurance companies aren't
scam.
looking to pay out. It's a
Yeah,
scam. When you're talking it makes us we realize that everybody has to have their own customization and everybody's different because the numbers that the marketing machine sets for us, they just don't want to pay out. So they say, okay, you have to retire at 65. Many people are going to die at 65. And then it pushes to 70, now 73, and then it's going to push further and further as you get older and older. So in the end of the day, it doesn't what you want to live and what society is telling you that you have to be doesn't really make sense.
Sure.
So we're able to, I view, because I don't listen to the head trash. I go right into the core, find out exactly what someone's looking for, find their values. We do this value exercise to find their top values. It takes about 20 minutes to do. Find the top 5 values, and then we structure everything around that. Once we structure everything around that, we allow people to work better and work stronger exactly what they're doing, instead of these arbitrary, what are your goals? Do you want to buy a house? Do you want to set up a charity if you're kids? We don't care about that. That's nothing. What are your values? What do you find most important in your life? If it's being independent, then maybe not buying 10 houses makes sense. So one of the huge billionaires was telling me, and we're friends, we swim together, and he says to me, I owned houses across the world. All these houses, he's worth probably $5-6 billion. I owned all these houses across the world. And he says to me, he goes, you know what I realized one day? When you own houses, you have to have caretakers take care of the houses. So I'm paying people a salary to live in my house. And I have security who's living in my house. So I don't even know what's really going on. So I'm just paying people to live in the life of luxury. So I sold all my houses. My goal is to be independent. I love being independent. That's his value. So he sold all of his houses, and now he's just truly independent. He doesn't own a single house. He rents. It's amazing. So that's his value.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Again,
it's amazing.
Again, just a different way of life. As I said before, some people like jumping out of airplanes. I'm not one of them. But, I appreciate that they're a different demographic. They exist, and there's a market to cater to there.
Yeah, absolutely. You like buying real estate. You like Bitcoin. You like cryptocurrencies. It's a different style. It's something that you enjoy. Something that you find that you're passionate about.
Sure. I mean, for me, my crypto money is my racetrack money, right? I mean, it's a step above my racetrack money. I mean, but my real estate money, that's the retirement plan right there.
Yeah, passive income.
Man, you know what? I'll tell you what. I sit here and I've enjoyed the process of being a real estate investor, which is being perpetually cash poor, right? You perpetually, liquidity is always the big problem when you own real estate, right? And so, but because I'm always getting as long in real estate as I can, this whole inflationary cycle has been fantastic for me. I've gotten so much wealthier from this because I'm in the absolute right spot. I mean, my rents are way up. Everything is great.
It's amazing. It's amazing. And the key that you did, and that I was taught very young, was there's nothing like I'm a stripper for passive income. Anything I could do that creates passive income, there's nothing like it. I'll do anything I do, and that's
I'm even proud of some of the things that I'll do for passive income.
Exactly. I got no problem. But there's few ways to actually make money while you're sleeping. It's your business, it's property, it's dividend paying stocks. Bonds aren't really doing anything for you because it's just not enough, and the price of bonds got clobbered this past year. There's very few places to do it. So if you're looking for that independence, if you're looking for freedom, then real estate's a great way to go. And I don't see many financial advisors saying that. They're saying, oh, real estate's a great passive income. They think, oh, every stock portfolio, because they can charge fees on it, is a great way to create passive income. But when you have a real estate portfolio, it's very hard to beat that for income. And it's very hard to beat the tax advantages of that too. I don't love the cash poor part of it. That's not enjoyable.
No, the lack of liquidity is always something I address with my customers on the way in, because I think I can sense in what you're saying, and it's always been how I've done business. I always give them the straight story, and I give them the business that they want to give me, and based upon me telling them the truth. And so they tell me, hey, I got $1 million to spend. You got $1 million to spend. Wait a second. Do you have cash? Do you have money someplace? Is that the only $1 million you got to spend? Because you only got $1 million to spend. You don't have $1 million to spend on real estate. You got like 900 you can spend on real estate. That other 100,000, you got to do something else with it, because anything goes sideways, I need to make sure you have access to liquid capital. It's not that type of investment. I could liquidate my GE stock like that. I can't liquidate my real estate holdings like that. And so if I can't figure out how to pay the light bill, I mean, I can't tell how many times I've had, $15-20 million in real estate. All right, but how do we pay the light bill this month, kind of thing? It's a thing, and it's obviously this is a young investor. I used to make those mistakes. Now, obviously, we hedge much better. But it's each investment type. But this actually leads me right into the next question I was thinking of asking you, which is, what do you see as the opportunity in the market today?
So I'm finding there's two sides that I'm seeing opportunity. One is, and just going back to your cash conversation, which I really like, we use life insurance as a nice hedge for clients. So what we tell clients is you need, let's say you want to invest 900, you have $1 million portfolio, you want to invest $900,000. You have $100,000 that you need just in case something would happen. And what typically happens is unexpected death, illness, disability, or unemployment. Unemployment you can't really hedge against, but you can hedge against unexpected death. You hedge against, for example, illness, disability. You can hedge. So what we do is we take of the 100,000. If you were going to use $100,000, for example, instead of saying keep 100,000 in cash, only keep, let's say, 60 in cash, but buy an insurance policy that will hedge most of the risks. The only thing
Yep.
you cannot really hedge is unemployment and losing your job. If you own real estate, you really are hedging against that. So we
Sure.
say don't leave as much cash if you have the right insurance products to hedge against you,
Sure.
which we love doing.
No, I mean, I'm really a fan of hedging against without using cash if I can. I mean, I'd rather see a HELOC or
Absolutely.
something like that. So it could be a debt instrument that I only pay on when I actually use the money. Oh my goodness, you're talking about nirvana to a sickie like me, because I always love it when the inflationary risk is on the bank side and not mine for a change. That's
Yeah.
always what makes me happy. So what do you
No,
think? I'm
we're
sorry.
we're seeing some real opportunity right now in terms of the financial markets. We're seeing some real opportunities. One with insurance companies because interest rates are high and we're able to lock in higher interest and higher guaranteed return over time. So we're using
Sure.
annuity products a lot lately. For
Nice.
That's really for our older clients if they're looking for like long term diversification. The second side is we're using a lot of money in retirement plans. The IRS upped their limits and they keep upping their limits for tax deduction. So if you're looking for a 401k, you can now put in significantly more cash balance plans, defined benefit plans, profit sharing plans. These are ways that you can save significant money on your income tax if you're a business owner. It'll
Right.
have to be active income, not passive income. So we're seeing those opportunities in planning. The bond market did get crushed last year with higher interest rates. If interest rates do come down, the bond market hypothetically can come right back up and we can do
Sure.
very, very nicely. So there is some opportunity in we look at how we look at things and we look at strategies is where did they get beaten up? What is everybody hating against? Let's look at that. Let's really uncover that because who cares what the media says?
Absolutely. No, no, man. I say being a good investor is like being a Marine. Where the Marines go, where everybody's running away from, that's where they send the Marines in, right? That they go in there
Exactly.
where it's all
Exactly.
everybody's screaming with their hands in the air. They're going the other way, and
Look,
so
I was in the army in Israel as like an IDF lone soldier. I've been speaking a lot on Fox and Newsmax and a bunch of different and a couple of radio stations about what's going on. And it's like everyone, oh, how could you do that? How could you leave your family to go? Goes, yeah, I'm a fighter. I go right in. I'm not scared to go in. It's never been my fear. Why would
yeah.
it be?
Other things, yeah, but that no. Let's go. You got to go where the action is. It's a thing. So, what makes you passionate about what you do?
I think I built something in a very short amount of time. I get age discriminated against a lot. It's just something that is, I guess it's part of how I look. But I was able to bring one thing that I'm very proud of I was actually able to bring my father into my business, and now
Oh
he's
wow,
from somebody who was in debt, and yeah, it's really amazing. And now he owns a house in cash, and they put a pool in the back for which is like 100 grand if you get scammed of buying a pool, which my mom loves. But millions of dollars he's built. I've helped him build over the past couple years. I mean, we've really done some amazing stuff, and just the impact you can have on someone. Um, I can spend an hour with somebody coaching, and I can potentially change the future of their life for the
mm,
better. And I did a
yeah,
lot of these financial wellness courses across the country, and I get brought in all the time. And they always ask me like, "Okay, how do we pay you?" I go, "No, how about this? I'll pay for everything and we'll raise $20 to $50 a person, and that will go directly to a family in need." So in that short time, that let's say it's 50 to 100 people, that's kind of where I cap it. I'm able to make an impact. So their kids weren't like me and felt like discouraged. And thank God my parents were great and they pushed us further than we thought, even though our situation was against us. But that being able to create something more than just myself I love. I mean, it's just the amount of people that have called me and gone like, "Hey, you changed my life." I got somebody who reached out to me today. I did a seminar for him 6 years ago. He reached out. He goes, "Listen, that one seminar changed everything for me. I've thought of everything differently. Can I use your services?" He's not probably not the right fit for me, but in general, that's really really deep. So
Yeah,
I'm writing a book about it. I'm doing everything I can to make a bigger impact. Thank God I've done very well in my career. I don't need the money. I really enjoy it, but I'm looking to make a bigger impact.
that is the idea of people's lives being better because your life occurred is a very powerful and meaningful way of going through life. I would agree with that very much. So that is very much mine. You know, I'm more bothered when somebody misses the possible opportunity than when they pick on me or have something bad to say about me. Yeah, I'm a terrible person. Whatever you want to say about me, fine, but don't miss the message. Don't miss the good stuff.
Yeah,
If
absolutely.
their life could be better, man, because I existed, well, I think
That's
that
big.
really
Look,
really
in
is
the
huge.
end in the end of the day, you have a real estate portfolio. You could stop working today. You could stop talking to other people today and live off of your real estate portfolio. And I'm just guessing, but I'm 100% sure I'm right. So you could live off that today. So even let's say you sold everything and just didn't left it all in cash, you would still be fine, and whoever else you want to pass it to will also be fine, but you keep going. So either you're effed up in the head, or you. The most important thing for you is self actualization right now.
The
So
most the most
probably a combo of the two.
Yeah, no, I would definitely the screwed up in the head definitely definitely going to qualify there. I think the big thing for me is very much that idea that the founders of this country left us with was the idea of the pursuit of happiness, right? And so you call it self actualization, whatever name you want to give it. It's that idea that Socrates was beating around in his head when he was talking about ethics and the idea of what a life of a worthwhile life, a good life, what the good life looked like, and a life that makes other people's lives better for having been lived. I think has got to be a big part of that, right? These are the stories that are most meaningful to me when I hear them, and what I strive every single day to take and make people's lives a little better because I was here. So I think it's a worthwhile thing. And even listening to you talk about what having your dad work for you, work with you. I mean, my mom works with me, man. I totally get that, man. The idea that
I love that.
you could take care of your people. You could take them along for the ride. It's such good stuff. Just everything is better that way. But
Yeah.
let me ask you this: what one piece of advice would you give somebody listening to our show today? You've been through the ups and downs, right? If you could give somebody one piece of advice, you may never see him, never talk to him again. What would it be?
When you're building your wealth and you're building your design of how you want your life to be, make sure it's based off of your life, not anybody else's.
Sure.
Write down your true wants, your true desires. Take a full reality check of yourself. Go on a hike and write it down on paper.
Yeah.
Put your values, put who you are down. Once you could do that, you can build from there. But until you found your core, it's the know thyself concept. Until you found your core, you cannot make the decisions. So for me, I love to travel because I was a poor kid and we had to drive everywhere, and driving sucks.
Mm-hmm.
25 hours to Florida and back is a terrible drive. It's not fun. I
Yes.
do not enjoy it. In a minivan, it's not a great drive.
No.
I've been to 45 countries. I'm just warming up. My goal is to get to every single country in my life. I will get there. That's really my goal. Um, I just need to do like the Caribbean. I think I'll knock out like 10 in like a month, which would be
Oh
great.
yeah, that's quick and
Yeah,
easy. When
it's
Southern
quick and
Caribbean
easy.
cruises, man, it's the way to go.
It's the way to knock it out. But like, I want to do Sierra Leone. Not a great place for an Orthodox Jew anymore. That was in the army in Israel. Not a great spot right now, but we'll get through it as we always do. But I made my biggest decisions when I travel. I married my wife when I was I decided to marry my wife. When I was traveling, we traveled together, and that's where I proposed to her. I started my business. I thought about starting my business and developed my plan when I was in Africa. I made my biggest, I always leave my largest decisions when I'm traveling because I completely be on my own. You don't have cell phone service, you don't have anything. You're able to be on your own. So take time out. If you want to be successful, you need to leave a part of your time for brain capacity and for brainstorming and developing. If you don't do that, you will get stuck in the wheel. You need to control your time, control your life. You do that, then you'll be able to think properly.
I love it because I call that CEO time,
Yep.
as opposed to staff time. The
Yep.
time to take and figure out what this whole thing is about, and it's crazy because what we talk about is similar but different, but it's the same thing.
Same
For
thing.
me, I'm always talking about standards, figuring out what the standards you're going to do life by are. Like what are the hills you're going to die on? What are the things that matter to you that you really that move the needle? And for me, I've always said the best way to figure that out is what do you want to be able to say at your eulogy? What do you want to be able to say about the guy they're putting in the box? Who is this person? What did they do? And not that they're blowing sunshine up your ass, but I mean, what can they say about you and really mean? Um,
Absolutely.
to me, because a lot of times in the moment, I have some stupid ideas of what I really want, but when I think about it from the end, looking back as to what kind of a person do I want to be leaving this world as, I find that to be a very clarifying approach.
Should I tell you what I think one of yours and one of mine are the same? The
Go ahead.
bringing your mom in. You know those people. It's like at their parents' funeral. I wish I spent more time with my parents. You and me get to spend more time, and that's
Absolutely.
only because we start our businesses, we own our businesses, and we control our own life. That we made our own destiny. And I have no regrets. My grandmother, me and her speak every single day. She's kicking ass right now. She's cooking 500 meals a day for the IDF every single day. She's out of her apartment in Israel. It's amazing what she's doing. My dad, I get to see him all the time. My mom, I get to see him all the time. My brothers, my siblings, everybody, I'm able to bring into my life, and I have no regrets because I'm able to bring the thing I love the most, which is I love working, I love what I do, but bring it to my family. You got to do that with your mom, and that is awesome.
It really is, man. It's the best stuff in the whole wide world.
Best stuff.
Yeah. So, all right, change of pace here a little bit. What one book or movie would you recommend to the people listening?
All right, so I'm writing a book now. It'll be out in 6 months, so don't buy my book yet because I haven't written it. But it's called Resilient Riches. It's for those people who have overcome shit and really making something in this world and how to build riches more than just money. But I love The Richest Man in Babylon as my book, and
Great book.
the reason why I love The Richest Man in Babylon is because I know people who have $50 million revenue companies that bring home $250,000, and they didn't read the book first. But I have clients who have $2 million in revenue but make $1.8 million.
Mm-hmm.
So it's all about The Richest Man in Babylon. It's all about profit. How much do you take home first, and then you pay everybody else? All the other books talk about revenue, grow your business, build a business, sell it, do this and do that. I'm a profit junkie. I'm a revenue junkie. I'm an income junkie. That's profit for me. So that's that passive income.
Yep.
That's why I like Richest Man in Babylon. It's passive. Focus on just building your profit centers.
Simple book, but what a good book. I
What
totally
a
agree.
good book.
It really
What a
is.
good book.
It's one of those things. There's not a lot there, but there's a whole lot there at the same
There's a
time.
whole lot there. Pay
Yeah.
yourself first. See what happens. When you start paying yourself first and you realize, whoa, I'm hot. Like people are like, oh, I want to hire somebody else and I want to create. That's just creating more headaches.
Yeah.
Get your costs low as possible, but bring as much to you as you can. Give to charity if you want to give, but you don't have to hire a million people because you're lazy.
Yeah. No, absolutely. All right. What is next for you? I know you mentioned the book. What else is on the burner?
Well, right now I'm doing my podcast that we're launching next week, which is really exciting.
Congrats.
I had some really big guests, like some of the biggest successful entrepreneurs in the world, and they came on. But I said right now, and I'm sorry to keep bringing it back, but what's going on with like the anti-Semitism, things like that, I brought some of the most prominent Jews in the world and people who are speaking against this hatred on. So I had to curb my super successful people for these. So that's on the docket. My next goal is to really create an impact. I've spoken to I mean countless people across the world. I'm looking to make an impact so I can make an impact while I'm sleeping. So the book is really key. The podcast is really key. More content, more webinars for people to really get empowered. And I think it works now because I'm young and I'm age discriminated. So for the people who have been discriminated against, they see some light in someone who's able to do it. I started my business under 8 years ago. I can retire. I could have retired years ago, but I could retire today without even thinking about it. I don't even have to. I'm done. I could sell my
Yeah,
business and be done. I can live off my passive income, not talk to one new client for the rest of my career. I love talking to new client. I love what I do, but I've created this great thing. So for me, it's making an impact while I'm sleeping in a long-winded way of saying that's what's next for me.
love it. All right, last piece. You kind of answered this already, but I want to give you a chance to answer the question square on. What do you like to do to unwind?
For me, lately, it's traveling. I
So
have two. I
traveling,
have two young boys. Yeah, I have two young boys because it's because we couldn't afford traveling. That was really
yeah.
like the person who can't afford shoes. He buys all the shoes in the world, the suits. I have it for traveling. My oldest son, who's about 2.5 years old, he's been to 9 countries. He's 2.5. He's been on over 30 something flights. He's been to Miami like a few times already. He's bored of Miami. 2.5. And then my youngest son is a year old. He's been to 5 countries. He's been on like 15, 16 flights. So for me, it's traveling more. I just booked a trip to Guatemala yesterday. We're going to Israel in next October for the anniversary of the massacre. So we're going there. But yeah, for me, I travel 7, 8 weeks a year. It's one of my values is independence. I find you can only really find independence while you travel, and that's why I love doing it.
Gotcha. All right, last question for you here. Where can people find you?
So my site now is klymanfinancial.com. So KLYMAN financial.com. That's where people can find us. They could book a time directly on our calendar. They can check out our Instagram, Klyman Financial. LinkedIn is our biggest. Yair Klyman. Give me a like. Google. We got everything for people that they want. We send out mailers if you want to get more information on what's going on in the markets. If you want to get more information about different tax strategies to be most efficient, life insurance strategies, portfolio strategies, working around real estate. If a client says to us, "Hey, I love real estate," we go, "Great, we'll work around it. We'll be in the protection part, we'll be in the hedging part." So we use life insurance strategies, disability strategies for those people. But that's really our site. We're traditional, we're easygoing, we're not hard to reach, and we do the best we can.
Love it, man. Love it so much. All right. Well, Yair, thank you so much for being on, for hanging out, and sharing some of the wisdom with us here. And to everybody, thanks for joining us in the Know Your Shit podcast. Reminding you guys, if you want to build something that you're really proud of, you want to build something worthwhile, you got to know your shit.